Hi there, wonderful awakening beings and spiritual souls. Jo Rose for JoRose.com, numerologist and energy forecaster. In this video, I'm sharing with you, I'm actually highlighting in this video the value and insight of numerology and how it can help souls find their way. In a world where we seem to be trapped by the ego and the fear, the soul is suppressed, and I almost suppressed my soul in creating this video, but over the last few days I couldn't let it go, even in the midst of me packing up to move home. The video is brought to you with a sad heart, but also with hope. What triggered this video was the news I read just prior to going to bed, when I picked up my phone to put it on airplane mode, and I saw the news that seemed to just spread rapidly across the media and the world. And the news headline was, Liam Payne, former One Direction star, dies aged 31. It mentioned he fell from the third floor balcony of a hotel in Buenos Aires. Before I continue, I just want to take a moment to stop and let us remember the joy Liam brought to us, the kindness he shared, because he generally was both joyful and kind, irrelevant of all the other stuff that was going on. And I want to send love and strength and support to his family and loved ones, and pray that the truth comes to light for all that led to this demise, and new systems are put in place for the well-being of artists, young and old. And I'm not just referring to the music business, but movies and all other forms of creation. So just for a moment, let's send all that love out there and pray that Liam can find peace now he's on the other side. The 17th of October was the full moon. The energy of a full moon takes place either side. It's a 3-day period. And this is when the energy can become really intense. And the word lunacy was created from luna, meaning moon. Now, yes, you'll go online and a lot of people will debunk this, but many suicides and deaths take place on a full moon. Science doesn't prove anything than what the person asking it to prove proves. Spirituality is a whole different ballgame. This particular full moon is called the Hunter's Moon. We know that by looking at the Old Farmer's Almanac. There's a reason the moons have these names, and that's because this is how the farmers work the land. This full moon was also in Aries. And where was Liam? He was in Buenos Aires. Is this just a coincidence? I don't know. When we look at the full moon 1 year ago, another celebrity passed over. Matthew Perry. They said it was a suicide. It definitely was down to a drug overdose of some kind. But 6 months later, they have decided to look back at this case because all is not as seems. That day I created a post on Facebook because all did not seem right to me energetically. I shed tears. I'm crying for a lad I'd never met, but I felt his pain. And what I couldn't understand was, leading up to this event, why was Liam in the media anyway? He hasn't been in the media. He hasn't come up on my news feed for forever. But he was. And all the media showed him to be having a great time in Argentina. I mentioned that it was the hunter's moon. Do you think Liam may have felt hunted? Just prior to this event, his record label dropped him. His manager let him go. His previous long-term ex-fiancée had written a fictional book based on their lives. Liam had been asking her not to publish it, but it went ahead. Liam had pleaded with her and her family, and so much so that she served a couple of days prior to this a cease and desist. He was in Argentina with his current girlfriend of 2 years. She had gone back 2 days earlier. Why did Liam not return with her, you might ask? He didn't return because he was out of country, because his artist visa had expired and he needed to get a new one. He chose to go to Argentina because one of his former bandmates was playing there and he wanted to connect and support him. All looked great. On completing the visa forms, there was a question about being involved with drugs, and he had to tick yes because he had been in rehab in America. He was awaiting the results from a medical center that he had been to get the all clear, and he got the all clear, so there were no drugs in his system. And I bring that up for what happens later on. So whether he took these willingly or not, any amount on a clear body is going to affect you more than when you're used to it. As I said, my spider senses were saying something was out. Who gave this to him? He was 2 days away from being back in America, but he had been hit again and again by all things going against him. Let's go back to when Liam first appeared on the scene. 2008, he was 14 years old. He went on the X Factor and everybody thought he had a wonderful voice. Too young, too soon. Come back, Simon said. 2 years later, he came back. They still thought he had a great voice, but so did they think 4 other guys had a great voice. And from this, they created One Direction. Now, I shared my posts on Facebook and I'm going to leave them here. Please pause and read what I was feeling at the time. But anyway, he was on the X Factor, and with numerology, I look at it because it guides me, it helps me. Now, many years ago when I discovered numerology, I thought it was great to investigate and learn. And then I discovered that the Illuminati and deep societies use this, and I almost backed away. But something in my head said, don't back away from this, because if they use it, why not be forewarned and know how to use it and navigate the energy as well? I really believe everybody should learn numerology because it can teach you so much about the energy of the world and your own personal energy and those around you. X Factor. X is the 24th letter of the alphabet. And what year are we in? 2024. When you look at the word factor and you break it down, it comes to a 27-9. But 27-9 or 27, firstly, how many celebrities die at age 27? And it's a 27-9, 2 plus 7 is 9. And why do I bring this up right now? Liam Payne's personal year was a 27-9. Is all of this a coincidence? I don't think so. Is something deeper involved, darker involved? There's a high chance there is. We have to wait for them to investigate. But with all that's been going on with Diddy and everybody else at the moment, we have to ask who's paying the investigators and what news do we want to come out. I really hope that Liam's life will not be lost in vain and something will happen in those industries to make it a cleaner, better place to be. Liam loved music. He sought fame. And we only need to look at the word fame and see that it's a 16-7. You know the tarot card, that is the tower, and it falls. And many people that get into the music or the movie industry seem to have a tower moment. Some so detrimental, that is the last moment they have. As I said, on the day he passed, I shared my observations. The next day, I felt so stuck, so dark, so sad, when so many people shared such greatness about Liam and how this shouldn't have happened. So I decided to look into his numerology and his date of birth at this particular point. And again, I have my Facebook post here. Pause it, read it. But when I looked at his numbers, so much came out for me. His birthday is the 29th of August 1993. When we break this down, we can see that 29 reduces to an 11. Now, because it's a master number, we stop there. 8 stays 8, and his year reduced down to a 22, which is another master number. When we add the 11, 8 and 22 together, we find that the life path Liam is walking is a 41-5. It's a mirror version of 14-5. And the reason I bring this up is 14-5 is a karmic debt. Liam came into this world to pay back debts, but this isn't the only debt. He didn't just want to pay debts back. With those 2 master numbers there, Liam wanted to create something so memorable, so enlightening, illuminating, and turn dreams into reality. I get this just by these numbers. When I look at his personal year, I see that it comes to a personal year 9. The month he was in was a 1 and the day was an 8. With all numbers, there is negative and positive, empowering and disempowering, love and fear. 9 can be about endings, transformation. And I just want to use the 9 here because also when we look back at this, apparently he fell 45 foot. 4 and 5 is 9. The time of his death is 5:04. 5 plus 4 is 9. All numbers have the negative and the positive. If we look at the 9 here, under the strengths, they're charitable. We heard that Liam was very charitable, and not long before this, he must have spent about £10,000 or dollars, I don't know what, in GoFundMe to help certain people. He was compassionate. He loved his fans. He was enlightened. He kept the energy up in the group. He had insight. He contributed to not just the group, but the people around him. He was broad-minded, a visionary. He had great visions. And even before passing, after the band disbanded, Liam always dreamed of that band coming back together. And personally, that's possibly the thing that got in his way for his own solo career. He thought all the members in their own way could come back together individually on stage, and in between each act doing their own thing, they did One Direction. Sounds great. He had a knowing. He's been saying for a long time he wasn't here for this world for long. He certainly believed in philanthropy and was a humanitarian. But let's look at the weaknesses as well. They can be intolerant and impatient, unforgiving, relentless and bitter, vindictive, intense, deceptive, cowardice and cold. We heard Maya Henry saying certain things about him that would lead us to believe that was the case. And if he was under the influence of something, then, and that could even be pressure and stress and anxiety, we do things that are ungrounded. Looking at Liam's date of birth numbers, I can see that his main cycle that he was in was an 8. The 8 is really the go-getter. It is the reap what we sow, reward and recognition, ambitious, a workaholic. And Liam certainly was all of that in that 8. And yes, he did reap rewards in this period of time, but he wasn't. Something was changing. And he only had to wait to his birthday next year when he would have left that cycle of energy and moved into the Master 11. He said he had problems with relationships. We've heard a number of interviews where he shares this. When I look at his challenge and pinnacles, I can see that his challenge is in the community, in family. He had the power to raise the vibration, but he depended so much on it and he couldn't find his way in it. The 6 is about responsibility. Did Liam take responsibility for his own fame? We can blame it on him. He was a man at the time. And I've seen the interview where Simon turns around and says, they're all men, they got to take responsibility. But they started this as young lads. When Simon said to them, you've got to put in the effort. It's work, work, work if you want this. And those young lads were molded to do just that. The pinnacle was a 1. The 1 was telling him he needed to be independent and branch out. His family didn't see that much of him when he was on tours and traveling the world and living overseas. For the family, they lost Liam when the world gained him. Liam came home, of course, he loved the family, but he wasn't there. He was dealing with the 1 energy, and the 1 energy was the pinnacle, the rewards, and so he was out there making it happen. On Liam's 32nd birthday, he would have not only swapped from his major cycle to that Master 11, he would have also swapped pinnacles and challenges. And we can see there, his challenges are 2. His Master 11, which when we reduce down is a 2, and the 6 is that family responsibility number. Perhaps at that point, Liam would have found his way back to Bear, to family, to being a more hands-on dad. And I'm not saying he wasn't a hands-on dad, but perhaps Bear would have been in his life more than he currently was. And he would have certainly been able to work on that part, relationships. The 11 was about illumination, or is about illumination. It lights up what we need to work on. It also brings us into the sensitivity. And I generally think Liam felt pain. Just by tuning into him, I can feel the pain. When we understand this, and I'd only just looked at this part and I just thought, if only Liam had had the help and support he needed at that time, he would have got into those next cycles. So like I said, I shared this post, but still the troubles didn't go away. Still, I could not let Liam go. And then we heard that there was narcotics in his system and people getting dismissed from the hotel and all sorts of things going on, that I decided to look further. There was a substance found in his room. The colour was pink. And I'll just leave this bit here. But again, when I work the numerology of these numbers, I get a 5 and a 5. 5 is the number of addiction. It's the number of sex, drugs, rock and roll. It's erratic. It's disruptive. It seeks adventure. And if you've had the adventure that Liam had so young, then you've got to keep upping it. If you're already success, if you've already got what you want at a young age, what is there left to aim for? This had me look further into his numerology, not just his date of birth, but his name. When I look at this, and the first book I collected on numerology, somewhere in the book it said that the reason the guy wrote this book was he was working in a company that he discovered that every time they employed something, they seemed to got it right. And he said, how do you get this right every time? And they said, simple. It's in their name and their date of birth. It tells us everything about them, including what they don't tell us. When I looked at Liam Payne's numerology, if I was in charge of HR for that band or any band, I would have seen the red flags. In his core numbers, he has 3 karmic debts, and at the life path, he has a mirrored karmic debt. He was going to write this when he hit those master numbers, but sadly, Liam doesn't have that chance, which is why I believe what comes out of this will change the industry. Sorry, emotional. Not only did Liam have these karmic debts, he also had an expression 9. Everything ended for Liam on a 9. And I'm not saying everything will end for everyone on a 9 or for their expression number. What I'm saying is it just all come to a head. His expression number, or your expression number, it's the tools, the traits, the skills that you've brought into this lifetime. I've already read the pros or the love, the fear, the empowering, disempowering of the 9. Liam had all of those. And when he's in the empowering, it was great. And when it was in the disempowering, it was hard. And bearing in mind, those 14 5s didn't help him. His personality was a 14-5. This is how people saw him. This is how he showed up. Let's have an adventure. Let's go. We can sort this. But he tells you when they were young, when they were touring as One Direction, they were locked in their hotel room away from the fans. The minibar caught him. The minibar increased. Surely those managing that group should have thought about this. No, they were cash cows. They were just pushing them along to make the money. All 5 of those boys have gone on to have a solo career. They were all great in their own right. They all probably could have done well in their own right. But Simon Cowell and the group at X Factor chose to put them together in a band and make them big. And everybody after that wanted to be as big as One Direction. His heart's desire was another karmic debt, a 13-4. He needed order and stability. And yet, those 14 5s wanted no commitment and freedom. No wonder he couldn't settle into a relationship. Now, I'm not saying 14 5s can't settle into a relationship. They can, but they've got to do the inner work. You've got to look at why you came to Earth in the format you did with these numbers. Everything is energy, as Tesla says to us. And we've come down here to experience this energy. We can fall into the low vibration or the high vibration. And often our environment pulls us one way. How can we beat the environment? How can we be stronger than the environment? We have got to learn to light our own light within. Many people are lost. At the moment, it's really hard for the majority of people. We look to see how we can survive instead of thrive. How we can exist instead of live. I often say, if you follow your heart, the reward will come. And you might say Liam followed his heart, but did his reward come? As I said, that fame can end everything. It's the tower. Success is not success unless it fulfills us. If you were to look into your numbers, you'd know then what to study. Often we study what we need to make money, but we're not studying what we're passionate about. And if our heart's desire is not attached to our long-term goals, the reward is not going to work the way you would like it to work. I went on to look at the rest of the band and how they compared to each other, including how the name worked for them. I'll leave it here for you to just look at. To help me work out whether I should have made a video round now, I did pull some cards. And I was concerned. I did not want to use Liam's passing in a way that demeaned him. I wanted to use it to help people in the future, whether they're in these art industries or whether it is you watching my video. I sat with it and the cards, and this is what I want to share. We need to be in touch with our feelings, our intuition, and our emotions. Have an open heart. Share love always. Explore your passions. Often we can have internal conflicts. They're the challenges, like I mentioned with Liam. But challenges eventually bring focus and growth. The challenges come our way for us to learn how to turn a negative into a positive. The 5 is about change. We must temper the change. Constant change leaves you on a hamster wheel or those merry-go-rounds that we used to have in the parks when we were children. Getting off, you're all over the place. When I saw the 2 of Pentacles, it suggests we find balance, ask for help and receive help. Many that are struggling have given up asking for help. Liam asked for help over and over. We hear it in those interviews. We hear it when he pleaded not to publish the book. We hear it when he didn't want the band to disband. Who was really there for Liam at the level Liam needed to write the demons in his mind? The two is about balance. The two suggests you don't get so caught up with coping that you do not give yourself time to check in and make sure you are managing your time and priorities. You know my saying, it's your life, spelled LYFE. Love yourself first every day. You need to be your best friend and your own cheerleader. Validate from within and seek light even on the darkest days. You know the sun is always shining. There just happens to be clouds in the way. Visualize the clouds passing, or the clouds saying, stay in, go under the duvet. But when that sun comes out, when your energy uplifts, go out and do something. Walk in nature. Watch something funny. Spend time with those that feel good to be around. No matter how dark, believe light will come. Bad luck can turn to good luck in the dawn. For most of us, the spiritual part has been hidden. And I know in my own journey, and a part of the reason why I'm also sharing this video is one of my subscribers, I'm going to name her now, Joanna Starr, put a comment beneath a video I had created back 5 years ago called Why Numerology. And I actually share my story of why I got into numerology. So thank you, Joanna, for bringing that back to my attention. I did play it and listen to it all again. In that time period that I was talking about in that particular video, you would go and seek therapy and they would talk about mental health. And that is a word pushed around so much in today's world. And yet to me, there was nothing wrong with my mental health. I saw everything I saw. It's just that the matrix I was living in wasn't accepting what I saw and forcing me into a world that felt wrong. We are more than this physical body. We are also the mind, our thoughts. But it doesn't end there. We are our feelings. But over and above all of that, we are spirit. And while we can't solely focus on being just spirit because we've incarnated into a human body, the physical matter, we need to learn to balance between the two. So those Two of Pentacles was telling me to suggest you find a balance. The final card was the Chariot, and the Chariot says, buckle up. Once you get this, once you know this, once you understand this and you follow this, you realize that this is the one book everyone should read, and no two books are the same. Numerology is your guidebook to your life, how you can flourish and grow. And when I look back at celebrities, even including Liam Payne, I can see he really lived that energy. Now, could he have survived? Yes. He just needed to create the right team around him. That heart's desire, that 13-4, wanted the stability, the structure, the practicality, the mechanism in there. He didn't get it. Young stars of today, celebrities of today, are used until they're no longer serving, and then they're dismissed. Most stars that don't take it to full life die too soon, and many of them in a hotel like Liam Payne. The video that I was directed to is probably where I share some of my own pain, and Liam's passing had just brought that up. I can look back now over the years and see how I have learned to work with the energy, vibration and frequency. And that is why I share these videos. I really want to help raise the vibration and introduce you to numerology. It is the key to help you have a better life. When I see the passing of Liam, I question myself why I've stood in my own way and why I am not running a school of numerology to help people fully grasp the power of knowing this. And maybe now with Liam's passing, it may be the trigger I need. When things come into our life, they come into our life because it's a kind of prompt. I remember once being in a car where the person that was driving got stopped. The police wanted to see his details, his driving license, insurance, etc. Here in the UK, it is an offence if your paperwork is not up to date. It had me look at my paperwork and I realised that I had moved a number of times and not changed my driving licence. So even though the stop wasn't about me, if you are in or connected to the energy, then there is a message for you. And the spiritual aspect of ourself teaches us how to stand back and look at the message. Everything is reflecting. It's mirroring. It's telling us what we need. If you see good in someone, then you want that good in you. It's there. You've just got to nurture it. And if you see things you don't like in other people, ask what it is teaching you. If I did have a school that taught numerology, another suggestion I would have is that every business with HR learns numerology, learns about the people they're employing, gets them into the right role and treats them the right way. Not everybody's got the same perspective, but when we understand each person's perspective, and there is a great book on relationships where we realize that we don't all love the same way, and that's the 5 love languages. Brilliant book, because only one of my children's love language is the same as mine, but his second language is not the same as my second one. But all my children love differently, and really knowing not just their love languages but their numbers, I feel better able to step forward or stand back when necessary. If you have any questions about numerology, then write them in the comments below. If you're interested in learning more, if you think a school would be something good, let me know. Because once I move and settle again, I really want to look at making a difference in how I can help raise the vibration. Each year we move into a different energy, and this year's been about who has the power, the 8. Next year is the 9. And the year after is a 1. So we are approaching a new beginning for the whole world. Wouldn't you like to know how to be ready for those energies as they come forward? How to navigate your path so you literally live the designer lifestyle that you created for yourself, because you chose this lifestyle, you chose that vibration. And even though your parents picked your name, you told them energetically what you wanted it to be. And to bring this particular video to a close, Liam, you will be remembered each day right from the start, for the memories you created will forever live in our hearts. Sending love and strength to his family and friends as they navigate their own path forward, and may truth and justice prevail. I also pray that a new system of support will be put into place for artists young and old to provide for their well-being first. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. Thank you for watching my videos and commenting on them, because I, like Liam and some of the other band members, do have anxieties and stresses before getting in front of the camera. And it's your comments that keep me going. My life path is a 22-4. I'm here to turn dreams into reality. I really feel by teaching numerology, I can do that for so many. And if we can get this into the HR world of every business, no matter what the genre, what a better working environment we would have. But with AI taking over, is it even needed? AI is not the answer. Disconnection is not the answer. We need to reconnect, heart to heart, consciousness united. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video really insightful, and if you have, please give me a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do, and push that bell for notification. And if I have said anything that triggers anything that might help someone else, please share this or my other videos with those you love and care about. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. And Liam, may you rest in peace.